right, so today we're going to talk just a little bit about what it means to be self led. Hear a lot about that, and sometimes we even hear in self, not a term that I'm crazy about because we're never going to be in self. We're human beings, but sometimes just a drop is what I like, or just 1 foot of self leading can make a difference. And so we're going to explore a little bit of what that means, and I'll lead you in about a 10-minute meditation. But leading from the qualities of those 8 C's rather than from reactive parts. And I did a little research, and so I have those 8 C's now. And let me just read those to you. Calm, a sense of inner peace and steadiness. Curiosity, genuine interest in what's happening inside and around you. Clarity, the ability to see situations and parts without confusion, or as much confusion, maybe a little unclear, but a little more clear will do. Compassion, an open-hearted care for self and others. Confidence, trust in your own inner wisdom. Courage, willingness to face what feels difficult. Creativity, openness to new possibilities and perspectives. Connectedness, a felt sense of relationship and belonging to self, others, or something larger. And so, we hear a lot about those 8 C's, but there's also 5 P's that as practitioners we're taught to bring into session and to be aware of when we're walking alongside of others. And these can be helpful in life too. And it's patience, allowing things to unfold in their own time without forcing change. Perspective, being able to see the bigger picture and understand different parts, viewpoints. Persistence, staying with the process even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. And playfulness, this is probably my favorite that I keep in mind all the time, but bringing lightness, creativity, and curiosity to the work. Still honoring it, but not taking ourselves so seriously. And then finally, presence, being fully here, grounded and attentive to what's happening inside and around you. Here are some points that may be helpful. First, the difference between self and parts. And in IFS, self is not a part of us. It's our true essence, the inner leader who can listen, guide, and hold all our parts with compassion. And then we have parts, and then particularly self-like parts. And there are no bad parts, we know that. And those self-like parts, I've come to honor and respect them more. But I find it's good to be on the lookout or to be aware that sometimes these parts may imitate self-energy, but if you pause, you notice just a little bit of an agenda. I want to heal, or I want to make this better, or subtle anxiety beneath the surface. And so be aware of that as we check in just a bit. Recognizing self-energy is another point that may be helpful. Signs of being more self-led include curiosity, calm, clarity, compassion, confidence, creativity, courage, and connectedness, the 8 C's. You don't need to feel all 8 at once. Often just a drop of self is enough to shift your internal system. And here are just a few common misconceptions. Being self-led doesn't mean being calm or zen all the time. It's about being aware of our inner experience, pausing, and relating to our parts with compassion, even when we're triggered or upset. And here's some examples of that, and then I'll guide us for about 10 minutes. When we pause before reacting and ask, what part of me is showing up right now? Or when we notice frustration, but choose to listen to it instead of letting it take over. When we extend kindness to a part of us that feels ashamed, afraid, or angry. When we admit to another person that a reactive part took the wheel. And then we try to reconnect more from self. So try asking in the moment when you're triggered, who's leading right now? Or maybe when you're not triggered, just periodically, who's leading right now? A part, or am I more self-led? You might even visualize inviting self to the center of your inner family meeting. If you do bring a journal with you during these times, here's some reflection questions that may be helpful to take with you. What does being self-led look like for you in daily life? Which parts of you resist letting self take the lead? How might you offer compassion toward those parts instead of pushing them away?